House Speaker Paul Ryan told CBS News he understands Mr. Trump's frustration, calling the leaks and subsequent media frenzy unfair. But Elaine, the speaker said he would not have suggested U.S. intelligence agencies used Nazi tactics in this or any other matter.
Well, Major, we are learning that last Friday it was FBI Director Comey who spoke with President-elect Trump about the allegations against him. What more do we know?
Not much more than that, Elaine, and this differs from what senior Trump transition officials had said, that nobody had briefed the president-elect verbally about this, that it was a couple of pages attached to a document. Mr. Trump said at the press conference yesterday he read it later. Every day this story gets more dimensions and more facts and more context, but the central dilemma for the U.S. intelligence community remained: do you inform the president-elect of this? And if you do, in what context do you present it? The Director of National Intelligence, Mr. Clapper, said in his statement that there was never any attempt by the U.S. intelligence community to say this was verified information or verifiable information, but merely to flag it for the president-elect as something that was out there and that he should be apprised of, and perhaps to contrast it from some of the other information and the methods used in the investigation and subsequent consensus finding that Russia was involved in hacking in the 2016 presidential election, and say, look, this is how we weigh and differ the kinds of intelligence we present to you. Over here, unverified, unsubstantiated, but just flagging it for your attention. Over here, things we are much more confident about, with a lot more detail and analytical effort put behind it, that we can present to you as something we believe as actual and important intelligence for you to either act upon or review. That seems to be part of the conversation, part of the briefing that went on. Nevertheless, the president-elect considers the inclusion of this unverified and unsubstantiated information wrong-headed, and it will probably be a part of the ongoing conversation the president-elect has with the intelligence community about what to bring him and what not to bring him in the future.
Well, Major, you mentioned James Clapper. Mr. Trump seems unable to go a week without butting heads with the U.S. intelligence agencies that will soon command. James Clapper reached out to Donald Trump, reassuring him that the intelligence community is not behind the leak, as you said. Do you see that really as an attempt at smoothing things over, an attempt to lower the temperature here?
Well, look, it's obviously that anyone can see that this is a phone conversation initiated by the Director of National Intelligence with the president-elect to open a dialogue, a channel of communication. Now, that may not seem like something that ought to happen. President-elect can call the Director of National Intelligence at any time, and yes, they can have communications whenever either side sees fit. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about communicating and building bridges and trust and understanding and appreciation for what the president-elect wants and what his insistence is about keeping confidential information absolutely confidential and separating out that which is fictional from his point of view from that which is factual. That's a legitimate point of view for any president-elect, and he is setting standards on that score for the entire intelligence community to understand and, from his perspective, appreciate. On the other side, the intelligence community has to tell the president-elect about what they do, why they do it, how they put this information together, and why they believe it's so important, and to maybe impress upon the president-elect that that information should come to him on a daily basis. As we know, Elaine, the president-elect has said he doesn't need a daily presidential briefing. The intelligence community would say, yes, you do, Mr. President-elect and future president, for lots of reasons pertaining to your continuous awareness of intelligence matters, and to have a full scope of all the things that you have to confront as commander-in-chief. All of this communication now is going on, and clearly this dispute and this at loggerheads impression that the country is getting about the president-elect and the intelligence community has become bothersome to both sides, and there are efforts now to repair it. They're likely to continue, but by next Friday, it's no longer going to be President-elect Trump. It will be President of the United States, Donald Trump, and this relationship either will begin anew or will begin anew, but it will become operationally relevant to everyone in this country.
Well, Major, on a related topic here, you mentioned, Donald Trump, named former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani as a top cybersecurity consultant. What do you make of this move? Is that enough of an effort, you think, on Mr. Trump's part to show that he takes the Russian threat seriously?
It's certainly an effort along that score, and it is consistent with something we've seen this week within the Trump transition to wrap its own arms in its own way around this issue, which it had kept at arm's length and denied for a good long while. Now it is a recognition, A, that the Russians were involved, B, it's a serious matter, and C, that the United States government needs to step up its cybersecurity efforts. Candidate Trump made that clear during the campaign, that cybersecurity was an issue and he took it seriously and he would improve it if he got elected. Having the former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani as part of this team gives it a higher profile, gives it someone that the president-elect trusts, likes, believes, listens to, and it also confirms something that I reported on CBS this morning yesterday, that though the relationship suffered for a couple of weeks, former Mayor Giuliani is back in the Trump inner circle. And that was evident yesterday when he was standing in the wings of the president-elect's first press conference. And now he has an actual role, one that, if the president-elect is to be believed, will have very important significance to him and to the country in his attempt to very dramatically and rapidly beef up cybersecurity throughout the federal government.
All right. Major Garrett in Washington for us. Major, thank you.
Sure.